Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. As you know, estrangement from your adult child or children hurts. And when you're in pain, but you're not able to make sense of that pain, or if you fear it might go on forever, there is also suffering and stress. And those affect not only your mood, but also your physical health. So today I want to label some of the emotional pain you might be noticing so that you can experience it in a conscious, intentional way that may be more helpful. The benefit of labeling emotions has to do with how they move through us. We have to feel them in order to release them. It's typical in our culture to try to ignore or even stuff our emotions as if they'll magically disappear if we do that. But of course, emotions don't disappear. They just hang around in the background, making us miserable and sick, and fooling us into believing that we can never feel better unless something outside of us changes. If today's episode speaks to you, you might also be interested in episodes 139 and 140, Emotions of Estrangement. In today's episode, I'll talk about 5 types of emotional pain that you might experience when you're unwillingly estranged from your adult child or children. In no particular order, here they are. Number 1, missing your child as a person. This could feel like loneliness or longing or nostalgia for earlier times. The need for connection and companionship is basic to us humans. If you used to talk to your adult child frequently, if you traveled together or shared your thoughts every day or week, their estrangement may have left a hole in your social network and your emotional life. Take a moment now to put words to missing them. Do you also feel lonely? Do you long for contact? It's okay to have these feelings. There's nothing wrong with missing your child. There's also nothing wrong with you, by the way, if you don't miss your child. Number 2, concern for your adult child or children's well-being. This can range from unfounded anxiety triggered simply by separation to well-founded worries based on real-life concerns like a medical condition, known drug use, or other dangerous present circumstances. Every parent wants to know their children are safe no matter how old they are, and the distance created by estrangement destroys the comforting illusion of safety that being in contact creates. So put a word to it. Are you concerned, worried, anxious, afraid? What's the nature of your concern? What is it based on? It's safe for you to know what you're feeling, so go ahead and give it a name and feel it. Number 3, social embarrassment because your adult child isn't speaking to you. It may seem as though every other parent in your neighborhood has a life that's intertwined with their adult children's. It's hard to keep up a pretense at social gatherings. You may feel mentally exhausted at times. Are you embarrassed about the estrangement? Does it rise to the level where you actually feel humiliated or ashamed? If you're feeling any type of embarrassment, just give it a name and allow yourself to know what's true for you inside. If you do feel embarrassed, all that says about you is that you're being honest with yourself. Number 4, identity crisis. The more you've been identifying as so-and-so's parent, the more deeply the estrangement can chip away at your identity. You might ask, what does my child's estrangement say about me as a father or a mother? Who am I when I'm not actively parenting? If you're questioning yourself in these ways, do you feel confused, lost, empty, or without purpose? Resentful that this is even happening after all the efforts you made? Give your attention to this experience and see where it takes you. Remember, feelings can't do any lasting harm. It's what we do with feelings that can potentially do damage. And number 5, feeling rejected. This could include the feeling of having been replaced by someone else, or feeling betrayed by someone close to you. Rejection can force its way through our strongest defenses, wounding us or reopening wounds in our most vulnerable places. For more about rejection, listen to episode 95, The Deep Pain of the Rejected Parent. If any of the feelings I've talked about, fear, loneliness, embarrassment, identity confusion, rejection, or other painful feelings, have been triggered by your adult child's behavior, it makes sense that you might view the speedy return of your child as the solution to your pain. But if their timely return to communication and contact is not available, that doesn't mean there isn't a remedy. Paradoxically, in order for you to reconnect and feel better, some of this pain may need to start resolving before you reconnect. Because until those wounds are healing, you cannot help but approach the relationship with your child from a place of need and even desperation. As hard as you may try to hide your feelings or put them aside in order to meet your adult child's needs, emotional pain just has a way of seeping out around the edges and making itself known. Believe it or not, just by listening to this podcast episode, you're taking a step in the direction of resolving emotional pain, because the first thing we must do with a feeling we want to let go of is to acknowledge that we're having it and accept the emotion, whatever it is, without judgment or fear. And for that, it's helpful to start with a name. Give all of your emotional pain an accurate and compassionate label, just like we've been doing in this episode. Fear, loss, longing, betrayal, whatever it is, write it down if that helps. Give it attention and accept it with self-compassion. Feel it. Assure yourself that it's okay to feel exactly the way you do, because it is okay. In fact, it's necessary. The delicate work of identifying and accepting emotions with compassion and understanding is a pathway to emotional healing and feeling like yourself again. Because as soon as you fully accept your feelings, they begin to change. You don't have to take my word for that. Just try it and see. If you'd like my help in talking yourself through emotional pain in a way that facilitates healing and wholeness, pick up a copy of my first book, Constructive Wallowing. Better yet, while you read that book, meet regularly with a warm and caring therapist, in person if you can. I'll put a link in the show notes to some online directories where you can search for a therapist in your area. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out ReconnectionClub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at ReconnectionClub.com.